How are we doing, Kansas Jayhawks fans? This is your host, Nick Rondeau, here to talk to you guys about some Jayhawk basketball, some upcoming basketball, some past basketball, just Jayhawks basketball. That's what it's all about. So, going to try a couple new things, but again, I just, kind of want to get this content out there to you guys, and I appreciate you guys for listening and watching. So, starting off, I kind of, I always monitor the comments, see kind of what people are wondering, and obviously everyone's wondering, how's the team going to do this year? Who's going to be leading in statistical categories? How are we really feeling about this Kansas Jayhawks team stacking up against everyone else? But also, how do they stack up against each other? And that means statistical categories, offensive stats, points, assists, 3-point percentage. That's what we're going to cover today. And points, do we really even have to ask? I mean, it's obviously Darren Peterson. It's Darren Peterson. The thing is no matter how this goes, no matter how if he has a slightly disappointing season for himself, he will lead the Kansas Jayhawks in points. It is just he has to be a key focal point of this team. It does not matter offense, defense. We are scripting up almost every single play for Darren Peterson. If Bill Self wants to use him as a decoy on a game-winning shot, understood completely. The ball does not need to be in his hands every single last shot if we're down a couple of points. But he is a focal point. He will literally open every opportunity and avenue for this offense to succeed. And the question is how many points? My guess would be Darren Peterson, and this is, I would say, a good, healthy year for him, would be about 22 points per game. And that may sound high, that may sound low for some of you. I don't know. But I do know that about when Jalen Wilson was playing for us, and that was to me, a very key focal point scorer, even Ochai Baji, but still, there was so much depth on that team, a lot of, kind of equity. This team, I'm not saying they're not equal. I'm just saying Darren Peterson is just significantly more talented than everyone else. He's more gifted on the offensive end, and Bill Self's going to make it clear we are going to play our best basketball when the ball's in his hands. So, yeah, maybe he's not getting every single shot, but every single time he's going down the court, we are working around Darren Peterson. We are cutting towards the basket when your help defender goes to Darren Peterson. We are jumping out to that corner three when our help defender, he is going to get doubled. He's just too talented to be one-on-one every single time, every game. I'm not saying he's going to be doubled every game, but key situations, key moments. That's when we're looking for those players, and he's going to get by his defender. He's going to be penetrating the paint, and I just hope it's a lot of two-man with Flory. Honestly, I think the second scorer, I don't think it will be Flory. I'm feeling Trey White's going to be putting in some good numbers for us. I just think an undersized four, can kind of, find his mismatches, but also he might get a couple more minutes because he is that undersized role. He's already playing the four. Maybe they, in a smaller lineup, they slot him in, a little bit lower, or a bigger lineup, they slot in him lower. I do see Trey White being our number two scorer, and past that, I got really no take on that. But maybe Melvin Council, maybe Flory. I would guess minutes wise, probably Flory, but it's going to be DP. It's not even close, and I'm going to put him at 22 points a game for us to lead. For our assists per game, I think it has to be Melvin Council. Darren Peterson can't, get an assist by passing it to himself. And I just see Melvin Council really working super well in that two-man game with Darren Peterson. I think he's going to get probably 5 to 6 assists. I think he's going to have a career year for assists. I just think that's kind of how things will shake out for him. But it's pretty easy when you're working with that talented of a team, and I really think those numbers could be jacked up. Depending on, if Cole Rosario and Bryson Tiller really start, working into the rotation. I just think those guys are really talented offensively. I think El Marco, you take a slight hit on offense, unfortunately, at least early on in the year. And again, these can all be judged. These can all be kind of altered based on how we're seeing these guys play. But I do see that assist per game going to Melvin Council. I'd put him at 5 to 6, maybe in 5.5, we'll say. But I do see Melvin Council easily being that assist per game. Darren Peterson, maybe he'll get 2 assists. Who knows? But 5 to 6 for Melvin Council, and 3-point percentage. Why are we asking? It's Jaden Dawson. He's shooting 41%. I know it, and that just sounds like a random number to you. I feel that will be the number. Anything higher, oh my goodness, we're having a very good year. Anything lower, if it's a lot lower, we're worried. We want to stay above 40%. We really do. But Jaden Dawson will be leading 3-point percentage. I hope Darren Peterson can be shooting over 35%. Let's hope for that 37 range. Melvin Council, not a great 3-point shooter. Cole Rosario kind of was more of a volume guy in high school, so kind of difficult to tell, but he was only shooting about 30%. So I don't see him all of a sudden taking a gigantic leap per se. But Trey White, he was a 33%, 34% shooter last year. Career, he's only 30. So I just don't think there's a lot of competition. I think it's Jaden Dawson, and also I would say in 3-point makes per game, I think he's going to get a lot of minutes. So Jaden Dawson is definitely going to be, leading that Jayhawk charge from the 3-point line. Definitely excited about that. But who's kind of holding us down? Who's that defensive studs? Those leaders? Well, it's pretty much just all Flory. I mean, let's be real. Flory is going to be leading in rebounds. He is just going to be down in the paint too much. He's going to be dealing with an undersized, front court mate in Trey White. The only time he's not going to be getting rebounds is when he's off the court. I mean, that's when Paul Mbaya or Bryson Tiller or Justin Cross, those guys, that's when they're going to grab a couple. But Flory is going to be playing over 30-something minutes a game for sure. I think he's going to get I think he's going to have over 10 rebounds a game. I really do. I think 10 to 11 rebounds is, a fair assumption. I don't think anyone comes close. I think the next highest is going to be 6 or 7, probably by like Darren Peterson, just based on the amount of minutes he plays. But I think Flory, kind of plays that easily just based on playing time and blocks. It's got to be Flory Badunga. I mean, it would be Paul Mbaya if he's playing 20-something minutes a game. I would give him a chance, but Flory Badunga is going to be playing over 30 minutes a game, so I'm going to put him at 2 blocks a game. I think he will step that up. I mean, when he was playing full minutes, that guy, per 40-minute take, which he won't be playing 40, let's just say, he was about 4.5. So I think it's very possible for this guy to be getting at least 2 blocks a game. Kind of depends on how we're utilizing him in the paint, on his help defense roles. I really do think, though, he's going to have a career year. I mean, he's going to show how successful of a shot blocker he is, how excellent of a help defender he is. Some guy gets beat or he has to switch the 3-point line. He can. He's that good. He's gonna close you out. And Flory Badunga, 2 blocks a game, no doubt in my mind. And to the next, steals per game, Melvin Council. The guy had 2 steals every single game. Pretty much last year for the Bonnies. The only guy I really think that had similar steal numbers was Nginu Ngala, and to be honest, maybe Ngala takes over the point at the end of the season, perchance, but I just don't see it. Melvin Council and Darren Peterson seem to have a really good connection, a really good thing, and based off minutes played, that's who's probably going to be leading for our stats leaders, and it's just got to be Melvin Council. The guy's scrappy. He works hard. He knows perfectly when to time a steal. I mean, I've so many times they're just based on picking on a point guard, but he's also got a lot of intuitiveness. He'll be playing weak side and he can jump the passing lane. Don't be surprised if Darren Peterson also has about 1.5 steals per game. I'll bring him up in every stat category. It's because he's going to be playing 38 minutes a game. That's just what we're expecting out of him. High motor, high, kind of mentality. And I think Melvin Council still takes the cake on that statistical, lead, I would say. But it's going to be close. It's going to be very close. But next, I kind of want to talk about, and that's all we're going to talk about for, this upcoming season. I love this team. I love this team always, but I kind of want to talk about some old players from this team, and I'm sure nobody's thinking it, but I was. And so I just want to talk about it coming into the season. A couple of old players I love, just some moments I love, and, this is Jayhawks Basketball. It's about Jayhawks Daily content. It's about any content Jayhawks related. And so I know people are going to be interested in my guy, Mitch Lightfoot, the former Jayhawks spotlight. I'll give it to him. And Everyone remembers Mitch Lightfoot. He was on that championship team. We have to remember him. He was a great player. He was also a 5-year player for us. He did sit out for 1 year, but Mitch Lightfoot was the heart and soul of these teams sometimes. At least how I felt. His career numbers are nothing spectacular by any means. He was a career 3 points per game, 2.5 rebounds. He shot 58%. But he did average over about a block and a half a game, and that doesn't sound like anything. How am I remembering Mitch Lightfoot? Because how do you not remember Mitch Lightfoot? The guy was exactly what the Jayhawks needed at every time. When we were undersized, when we had the D'Souza troubles, when we had all these issues with centers, whether it was foul trouble, whether it was injury, whether it was recruiting, whether it was anything, Mitch Lightfoot was there to step in and be clutch, and that's what I loved about Mitch Lightfoot. Actually, from Tucson, Arizona, one of my good friends actually played him in high school. Said he was an excellent player. Obviously, he was an excellent player. Look what he turned into. But kind of going into his career highs, his best season was not hands down, not even close. I think his sophomore year. I think he was most effective his last year with the Jayhawks because that team was so talented, and when he came on, he really just came into his own. But career highs, he had 15 points as a career high. He had 6 blocks as a career high. I remember that first round game against Penn, not his second to last tournament. He had 11 rebounds versus Penn. It was just unbelievable. He just kept boarding. Those were 11 offensive rebounds. It was everything on the glass. Like, the guy was an absolute stud. So I was definitely very pumped to see that for him. But he's actually still playing. He's over in Japan in their B2 league for the Kumamoto Vorters. Averages 13 and 10. Immediately after, I knew he went to Germany. He bounced around to Belgium. But that guy was he was a key for leadership. He came off the bench, and that's kind of what I want to talk. Brought this up is because never forget the bench players help us win huge games. They are super crucial. I remember a couple years ago, when we were a 6-person rotation. That was it. Maybe 7. The leash was very short sometimes, Bill Self, and it has to be if you don't trust your players. And that's the thing, he trusted Mitch Lightfoot coming off the bench. Didn't matter, go get 8 minutes, go get 7, go get 14. Oh, big game, get 20. That's the thing is you need to be able to have trust in the guys you're sending in that they're going to put the best foot forward. And speaking of the best foot forward, the best game, I remember this game vividly. It was Mitch Lightfoot's 6-block game against TCU his sophomore year. We won 88-84. I remember that game so well because Devontae Graham and Sviatoslav Mikhailuk, Svi for 3, were having an excellent. They both put up 20. Devontae had, I think, 28, but excellent 3-point performances from them. Kind of a two-headed horse for the offensive side. Malik Newman came off the bench. He had the clutch free throws at the end, but Mitch Lightfoot had to play a lot that game. That TCU team, people forget, that was early in the year. They were 13-2. It was a 12-3 Kansas team going against a 13-2 TCU team with Desmond Bane, yes, NBA star Desmond Bane on that team. And Mitch Lightfoot's stat line at the end of the game, 26 minutes, 9 points, 6 blocks, 7 rebounds, 6 of those on the offensive glass. And he had a 3-pointer in that game. That game was awesome. He did take 2 threes, but it was unfortunate. But I just remember the blocks. I remember the offensive rebounds. We got the ball when we needed it to. He kept putting it off the glass and getting it for himself, put it back up, or give it another offensive possession. Give a kick out to Svi for 3. It was such a fun game, including the game-sealing block. I remember this vividly. Closing out in the 3-point line and blocking that 3 when we were up 3 with about 20 seconds to go. I think it was Jaden Fisher or something like that. But it was just an unbelievable performance from him. And the key was Udoka Azubuike, our center at the time. It was a monster foul game. He fouled out in a total playing time of 13 minutes, I think. It was terrible. He was out with the next 5 or 5.5 minutes to go. Mitch Lightfoot came in, and he sealed the game. These are the things. You need trust in your bench. You need big performances from your bench players. But no one's ever going to forget Mitch Lightfoot being, a national champion. But I'm also never going to forget what he did before that. And that's play a clutch role in the 5, just be a great role player, help be a leader on the team, help everyone out, Just an excellent player. I'm so happy that, you guys can share me with this Mitch Lightfoot glory just because when I think of these games, they don't just stay up here. They're going to go out to you guys, and they're going to be told. And Mitch Lightfoot, shout out if you're ever going to be watching. Jayhawk for life, but also legend for life. Thank you for all your performances. But wanted to thank you guys for listening again. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll keep pushing out content, whatever it may be. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode and appreciate it. Rock Chalk. Go Jayhawks.